Like and subscribe right now, or you will find diamonds before iron. My 2-year-old lined up his cars for the big race. The first time I heard an adult say the F word was when I was in 4th grade and we were doing some project that involved us baking cookies together as a class. My teacher, Ms. Lindsay, who was real sweet, was demonstrating for everybody, and she asked if anyone knew how to crack an egg, and I really didn't know how to crack an egg, but I'm a go-getter, so I raised my hand and she called on me. I instantly knew I was in trouble at that point, but I'd seen my dad crack eggs hundreds of times, so I figured, yeah, no, it can't be that hard. So I grabbed the egg, but I have no sense of how softly you're supposed to tap an egg to crack it, so I just slam it against the desk and splatter or egg 10 feet in every direction, and my teacher said, what the duck? Done? What's a product sold on just placebo effect? My kid was having trouble sleeping and asked if I had anything that could help her. I told her about melatonin and went to my car to get her some. Surprise. Surprise. I returned and handed her a Tic Tac. The next day, she yelled at me because she went to sleep right away after taking it and couldn't wake up the next day. She was drowsy all day. I had a good laugh at my own expense. My 2-year-old and 4-year-old had been communicating via walkie-talkie for 20 minutes. They're in the same room. The walkie-talkies have no batteries. Over. My son accident yesterday deleted my Breath of the Wild save because he wanted to watch me beat the game with only 3 hearts. He was trying to encourage me by starting a new game. He didn't realize it would delete my old one. I haven't played it since. D6 was excited this morning to see his classmate who has been absent from school for weeks. The kid, guess what? I had Cupid. My son, did you die from it? My youngest brother after my mom shouted at him for getting a detention. I was the idiot kid. When I was 5, my family was visiting someone. I don't remember who. I just remember a long road trip. At the house, my parents went with all the other adults into a back bedroom, I assume to do drugs, leaving the kids alone in living room. It was there. I saw it, a pincushion. Thinking back to some of my favorite Looney Tunes shorts, 5-year-old me remembered that any time Wile E. Coyote or any other characters would get a pin stuck in their bed, they would shoot straight up in the air, like 15 feet, like a rocket. I grabbed a pin and without hesitation, jammed it right into my right ace cheek. I did not fly. I just ran around screaming. And to this day, I've never told anyone. This post, 35 years later, is the first time I was a stupid ducking kid. Yes, you are. A little girl just came up to the ice cream truck and asked if she could buy ice cream with a blue rock she found. I'm now 1 blue rock richer. Doorbell rings. Neighborhood boy. Hey, can my daughter play me? She's at a friend's house. Boy, I know. I saw her. Me. So why'd you ring my doorbell? He shrugs and leaves. So, there's a snake loose in my house cause my idiot brother decided to catch one, bring it home, and put it in a bucket without covering the top. My son asked if the water in his cup from the Mexican restaurant was Mexican water. Exhausted mom discovers son would only nod off if he's allowed to hug oldie melon. Claire Brown used to survive off caffeine thanks to her son Jamie's restless nights, but their whole house now sleeps peacefully thanks to a miracle melon named Mel. I thought she was playing nicely. She ripped a floorboard. Couldn't film or photograph this for obvious reasons, but my grandmother recently died, and in the funeral my little cousin decided to play with his toy cars in the coffin. What did he say? My kid put some sour cream on his taco tonight. My little sister was once incredibly surprised by the fact that her teacher had a mom. She came home and told us that her teacher had a mom, and we were like, yeah, everyone does. And she said, what? So apparently my little sister thought that only she had a mom. She also looked at a picture of me when I was a baby and said, yeah, I remember that day. I said, no the hell you don't, you weren't even born yet. Her dumbass proceeded to say, "Yeah, don't you remember when I used to play with you when you were a baby?" My older sister looked at her like she had 5 heads and said, "No, you ducking. Didn't your dumbass wasn't even born back then." We then proceeded to have a 15-minute argument trying to explain to her that she never took care of me or my older sister when we were kids because she wasn't even alive back then. Eventually my parents became part of the argument and my little sister still couldn't process the fact that it would have been impossible for her to babysit me and my older sister because she was not alive back then. My niece said I was going bald. So unprompted, she cut off a lock of her hair for me. I hope the scotch tape holds. I was 7 years old and in first grade music class. The entire class sat in a circle and sang Christmas carols. There was a blue inflatable guitar on the shelf and I was interested in it, so I raised my hand to ask the music teacher what material it was made of. After 5 minutes of her not calling on me, I started to choke myself to get her attention. After a few minutes of choking and raising my hand, I passed out. The teacher was legally blind. Lost my cool there. Aiden, please stop using your willy as a guitar strumming device and other things I've never dreamed I'd need to say out loud. When I was a kid, about 8, I thought the W in George W. Bush stood for Washington and that he was somehow related to the first president and was elected for that reason. I didn't really think about it until I was in the 8th grade. Someone asked what the W meant. I blurted out Washington and was severely teased shortly after. Poor child. 7-year-old me thought it was a good idea to try and eat a wall. This is how I lost my first tooth. Kids, just stop, it's getting annoying. I don't know if anyone cares, but I found the snake that my brother brought into the house and let get away. Brian tells me today, "Mommy, I have a new friend at school named Thomas, and he has 2 hands. As though not everyone has 2 hands or something. He can always lighten my day." When I was a kid I had this phase where I pretended to shower. I'd sit in the bathroom, on the toilet, with the shower running. Once, I forgot to lock the door, and my mom came in to grab a roll. She sees me sitting on the toilet with a towel around my waist with the shower running. She was so confused. She didn't yell or scream. She said it would be quicker if you just showered, and you wouldn't look like a dumbass sitting on a toilet in a steamy room. Something like that. And that's all I can think about seeing this. The hand sanitizer is right there, and it takes 0 energy to just actually use it. When I was on kindergarten, the teachers usually would give me some type of modeling play, and I would try to create thing out of my mind. One day I tried to create a turtle and gave it to my mom. She kept until this day, and now I'm 20 and wondering what the duck was that supposed to be. When I was a kid, I thought the Chinese 100-year-old egg was literally 100 years old. I was in awe of the foresight Chinese people had to prepare something that far in advance. After my son, 4, started school last month, he started having really reddish pink pee. After a few days of cutting out red foods it continued, so we took him to the doctors. They tested it, found no blood or anything of major concern, and concluded it was likely dietary. A few days later he started to pee more a vibrant orange. That night he started to say his tummy hurt and that he had to poo. He ran to the toilet and pulled his pants down about halfway before spray shutting all over my toilet and walls. In this spray shut was where we found the source of the issue. This kid had been eating crayons every day at school since he started, and he literally spray shut a rainbow all over my goddamn bathroom. Had a talk with him about it. Problem solved. No more funky color pee or peep. Kids are wild, dude. My little sister sent me this. Curious me when I was 3. By the way, can you tell me about the time I pointed at someone and asked why they had black skin? We were in Walmart and you pointed at the guy behind me and asked why he had a brown face. Kid, just because I peed on the floor doesn't mean I don't lose tablet privileges. Deal with it. From like 2nd to 4th grade, I genuinely believed that I was part alien. My dad would always say that my mom was an alien, but I didn't understand that he was joking. I recently found one of my old notebooks that I used to write in, and I had written that I'm an alien from Saturn. Never giving her a bath in the kitchen again. My co-worker's son, 12, sent this request to his math teacher. Neg, can you stop giving us so much work? Kids giving warning. Danger. Behind this door is the nightmare of your life. But if you still come in, you will be yelled at, and if you try to yell at it, it will yell at you even harder. So don't go in. And don't say I didn't warn you. Thanks. The nightmare. When I was a kid, maybe 5 or 6, I lived in Seattle and my dad moved to Hawaii. I had no idea where it was exactly, just that it was a faraway island and I couldn't go see him. I convinced myself it was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. I'm assuming I only saw maps of the continental US. Why did I think that? It was the farthest away I could imagine, because that's the only reason I could understand not seeing him for years. For context, I live in Argentina. When I was little, maybe around 8 or 9, the original Slenderman game came out. When I played it for the first time, I got so scared I even had nightmares about it. Specifically, I had a fear that Slenderman would come swimming all the way from England to get me. I have no idea why from there, and I lived for years with the constant fear that he would eventually arrive at my house to kill me. Tuesday. Just this past Tuesday, I got some kids at an elementary school into the argument of the century over why they thought a carpet was draped over a park bench. Kindergartners really have their opinions. Truly wonderful the mind of a child is. Apparently my 7-year-old sister can't put the ketchup inside cause it is hard. Oh well, thanks for the help anyways, little C's. Found this banana eaten by my very little kid. If you thought JJ the jet plane was creepy, this kid's drawing will make you think again. This kid is going places. Not school but some other places. Blood pressure is one of the most dangerous diseases which is caused by stress, tension and controlling the blood against the wall of blood vessels. Any to prevention of it are the person who have blood pressure shouldn't take any stress about their background. They should go to their private doctor every week and take rest or medicine according to the doctor. Idiot 4th grader on my bus. When kids shows are being turned into memes and it's your turn to be dank. Random kid. Our teacher forgot about the homework. The rest of the classroom casually approach child. Grasp child firmly. Yeet the child. Kids these days don't play outside like we used to. Henry. Call the cops. They have skateboards. Smart college kids. College kids with rich parents. I asked my 5-year-old to keep an eye on his sister while I served him dinner. I peek out of the kitchen and find him like this. My 4-year-old brother told me he was scared to grow up and cried for like 10 minutes straight. Finally I asked why he was so scared, and he said he was scared of drinking coffee. 2034. Hey dad, how did you meet mom? Well son, there I was, Naruto running into Area 51, when I saw her carrying a water cooler full of Monster for the Kyles. Wait, weren't the Kyles being used as shield? No, those were the furries. If you ever feel dumb, just know that when my friend was 14 she went to a psychiatrist because she had a voice in her head. It was her brain. Like literally just her thoughts. She thought that she was the only person who had the ability to think. For 14 years. I was knitting on the subway and a 4-year-old girl sitting next to me asked about my knitting, and I told her I always knit on the subway, and she said, "So you sleep here?" Then she licked the subway window and said everyone is afraid of something. We've been trying to teach 3 what to do in case of an emergency. Yesterday we tested her. What would you do if you found me on the floor and you couldn't wake me up? I could see her little brain working. She finally said, I would go into the kitchen and eat anything I want. In first grade I wanted to grow up to be a bird, and one day I remember my neck and arms being covered in little red bumps, and I thought the transformation was beginning, and I ran to my teacher crying saying I wasn't ready to become a bird yet, and it turned out I was just allergic to yogurt and I wasn't turning into a bird at all. How I look when I try looking people in the eyes while talking to them. Small kids staring into my soul. Nobody. Kids in middle school. Fun fact. Kids voting in the next presidential election are the same ones eating Tide Pods. School bans Valentine's Day after 6-year-old tells teacher he would plow her into next week. It must be hard being that ducking savage. When your mom leaves you in the line to get eggs and the cashier says next. I'm sitting in the living room and I hear Brody say, "And this is our fridge. It's where we keep our food." I walk in and this is what I see. That's not our dog. When you're in a hurry and the cashier at the grocery store is trying to tell you about sick kids. Yes, he must die. In theory I love my kids equally, but in practice the smallest one filled my shoes with fig Newtons, and that's not cool. Everybody else in the classroom, the two smartest kids in the class, when they have different answers. When you're at a birthday party and some kid yells, he has games on his phone. 3 kids and no money. No kids and 3 money. Took our kids to a restaurant for the first time in over a year, as my 6-year-old crouched in her chair, eating a burger patty like a feral child, and my 4-year-old tried to remove her pants and painted her face with ketchup. It occurred to me that maybe we weren't ready to re-enter society. Pimples? 0. Blackheads? 0. The percentage of unvaccinated kids that live past 3? 0. Gonna tell my kids these were the Kardashians. Remember this kid. This is him now. Feel old yet? All my most bizarre conversations happen right before bedtime. Me. Good night Violet. Violet. Daddy, I can count to 200. Me. You're such a clever clogs. Now go to sleep. Violet. Giggling. I like the word clever clogs. Me. Good night Violet. Violet. Suddenly deadly serious. I also like the word poison control. Me. Wait. What? Everyone. Calculating their age. People born in 2000. Yo. I don't calculate. Pirate. Are you ready kids? Kids. Aye. Captain. Pirate. This little girl I'm babysitting just asked me if I have a boyfriend, and I said not anymore, and she said boyfriends are a waste of time, and then she turns to her brother and tells him you're gonna be a waste of time. Help. My kid destroyed my monstera and ripped all of the leaves off. What do I do from here? Should I ignore? Trim? What's it like to be at the Oscars from your perspective? I can see lots of legs. He is the chosen one. This burger is bussin' haha right kids, right? Please just buy our burgers. 12-year-old me, after stealing a sip of my mom's wine at a New Year's party. I'm wasted. Promised my kid ice cream if his team won. This is what motivation looks like. My parents describing how hard going to school was. Me describing how hard going to school was to my kids. Leave meeting. Unable to connect. Make sure you are connected to the internet and your connection to Zoom is not blocked by a firewall or proxy. How do you do, fellow kids? My generation will decide the future. Her generation. I asked my teacher for a blood break at school during class today. She gave me a sanitary pad and I was like, no, a blood break, so I can go drink my blood pouch. I'm not on my period you dump butch, I'm a vampire, we don't get periods. Mortals being oblivious amuses me. Who would win? 1 trillion innocent kids. Robbie Rotten. Remember those kids in grade school who used folders to hide their test answers? Well, they are vegans now. Kids in movies will see this on the table, take a sip of orange juice, and say I'm late for the bus. Kids, violence is never the answer. Insta has better memes than Reddit. When you spend so much time making Karen took the kids memes that your wife actually leaves and takes your kids. Just like the simulations. Me at 25 after a quick 5-mile run. Me at 35 after buckling my kid into the car seat. When a kid says they want to be like you when they grow up, thanks, but reconsider. Telling my kids this is Adele. Because you all keep forgetting I'm hot. You need to be reminded. Even though we be feeling a little ugly sometimes, that's okay baby, we out here. Body dysmorphia gang rise up. I'm telling my kids this was the Apollo 11 crew. Everyone else, the 2 smartest kids disagreeing on her answer. 90s and 2000s kids in the future when they see memes about Fortnite being nostalgic. Japanese kids watching the Porygon episode from their favorite Pokemon show on December 16th, 1997. The children of 2045. How was 2020? Oh. World War III almost started. And Australia was on fire. And this killer virus spread and stopped the whole world. But we got $1,200. I did it #feral hogs. My kids. 30 to 50 feral hogs. Normal people, gamers, people with small kids, healthcare workers,